Okay, so we're looking at processing a data file, looking at lines, and I wanted to print a list of each. We counted the total number of courses, and I wanted to print a list of each course number along with its instructor. And I just want to show you something first. I had come in here and deleted out a print statement. So I had a print statement here that said, that printed out the entire data file. And that was how we kind of, just to look at it, we printed this out. And I just want to, so that's where I was. And at the end of the last video, I did that. So we can see all the classes, and there are 48 of them. And then I said, oh, I don't need this line of code. I don't really want to print them. And I came back to do this video, and when I ran the code, again, nothing's happening. And I'm like, what's going on? So notice the code's still running, so I would need to terminate it to stop it. And then I don't know why. I was like, what's going on? I don't remember what happened. So I thought, okay, well, I'll come in here and I'll print the count within this loop to see, like, I don't know if it's my computer or, you know, I'm not getting an error statement or anything. So I have no idea what's wrong, right? So we'll go back in here and we'll print the count, see what happens. And now very quickly we can see, oh, that count is just increasing, increasing, increasing forever. And we're stuck in an infinite loop. And this can happen really easily with while loops. And so then I was like, well, why is that happening? So let's get rid of that. I'm just gonna go back here. Undoing. I had deleted this print line statement, but within the print line statement, we had captured an input.nextLine, which advanced the input scanner to the next line. So even if I don't want to print those things, I would still need that input.nextLine in order to advance the scanner. Otherwise, the scanner just stays where it is. And of course, there's another line because we didn't go forward at all. So as long as there was one line, then we would be stuck in an infinite loop. Now we're not. There are 48 classes. Okay. So I'm going to feel more comfortable assigning this next line to a string. So I'm going to call a string here. String current line, or let's call it current line, equals input.nextLine. Or maybe just call it line. Or actually, it's the course, right? So each string represents a class or a course. So then I want to take each of these courses and I want to do something to them. I want to figure out what is the course. Let's just get the course number first and print that. So I'm going to have another method here called the process course that I'll call right from here. Process course. So this is in process data. And now within process data, we're going to process this line of code or this string course. So I'm going to come down here. And let's see, process course doesn't need to return anything. So it will print something. So we'll come down here and we'll say public static void process course. It's getting a string input, and we'll call it course here. Now, because I'm not looking at the file here at all, I should not need to throw file not found exception here. But I am going to need, if I want to look through this course, I'm going to need a new scanner to do that. So I'm going to have a new scanner. I guess I can still call it input here. That might be a little bit confusing. So let's call it line input, meaning it's one line at a time. I could call it input because we're in a different method, but I don't want to get confused with that, where the one scanner is looking at the file, and this scanner is going to be looking at this string course. Okay, and then we look at the data, and in the data, mathclasses.text, let's go ahead and print the second and third field, meaning the math and the O81. So we're going to read the first thing in, and then skip it, and then read the next thing, print it, read the thing after that, and print it, and then have a new line character. So, you know, we maybe to be, again, on the safe side, we could name these things, give them variable names. So let's have a integer, let's just leave them all as strings. String number, and let's set it up as an empty string. And then a string, I guess I really don't need the word math because they all start with the word math. So if we get the number, we can just type the word math in front of it. In which case I don't need this string at all. Okay. This is what happens when you don't develop your logic first. You end up kind of thinking through things and then not needing them. So here we are in this line input. So we want to get rid of really the first two instances of data. So we're going to go, we could run a loop for I equals 0, I less than or equal to 1, I plus plus, I need to call it an integer. And I just want to do scanner or line input dot next twice. And I know I need a space there. So that should advance the 2 places. And then the next thing should be the course number. So let's just print those out first. System.out.print line. And that'll be the input, line input dot next. We could say next integer if we wanted. I think it's easier to leave everything as a string here. Okay, so this should hopefully get me a list of all the courses, or course numbers, excuse me. And let's look. Yep, oh no, that got me the names. Okay, so here's those are course numbers. So it's grouping the number and the section together. You gotta look at the data here until we get to the end. And somehow at the end, I know what's happening in terms of our classes. The ones at the end are somehow considered a little bit different. What happens at the end here? Oh, no. Strange. 102, it went through 102 and then it stopped. So let's see what happened there. 102, oh, then we have an ampersand. So it actually goes with the word math right here, math ampersand 107. So that looks like one token, the second token. Oh my gosh. So then at that place, it then went somehow to this word, math. Same thing here, it somehow skipped that and went to here and here. So what we're seeing is that data is messy. And I think I'm gonna leave it at that because the data that we have is inconsistent and we can work around it. The easiest way to do that is to put all this data in some form of per line into like an array, and then we can talk about one versus the previous versus the next. We can compare the different data fields and we can tell what's going on better. So I knew that I was going to run into problems with getting the instructor names. I did not anticipate running into problems with the courses. But what I could do instead is just maybe print the first 1, 2, 3 fields out and just see what happens. I still don't think that's going to quite work because the data is not consistent throughout. So let's run this two times, and let's print this out. System.out.print this line input.next. Copy it out of there. Paste it into there. And maybe plus a space, I think we might want to do. So plus space. And then get rid of this print statement here. So that's going to run 3 times. It's going to print the first 3 tokens. The problem is the tokens are inconsistent. Oh, and then we would need a print line statement at the end to go to the next line. So we'll do that outside the loop. When we're looping something to print on one line, then outside that loop, we got to have a print statement. And I suspect this isn't going to work either. So yeah. So what's happened here is when there's no ampersand, the data is just inconsistent. So these classes are treated a little bit differently and they have this extra field here. So that's being printed instead of the section number. So 0, 1, 70, these are the section numbers. 1, 2, so it's treating that whole part as together as one token. Whereas upstairs here, math is a token and all of that is seen as one token. So because it's a string, including the space. So it's inconsistent. And so then when we get down here where these are the ampersand courses, that ampersand, by the way, means that it's a state numbered course, meaning at all the community colleges in the state, pre-calculus 1 is numbered 141. It doesn't mean they're all the same class. It's weird. But it means that they're all pre-calculus 1. They can have slightly different content. So then down here, this is one token, all of that is the second token, and then the first word of the course name is the third token. So like here, you don't have the whole course name, you have introduction. So example of where data is tricky and your data file is inconsistent. And by the way, most data files are inconsistent, and that comes from a couple of different things. Data entry or people making a choice, like here, it looks like someone has made a choice to, in the one case, have the math be in its own field. And in the next case, have the math with the ampersand, that's all one field. Okay, so we're gonna stop it here and recognize that the data file is messier to deal with. There would be other ways and easier ways to deal with it later, but we'll probably just leave it at that for now.